I want to welcome everybody to the conference. If it's your first time, I know the technology team has put together a wonderful day for us, and I'm excited to see the other sessions as well. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to share some things I've been working on in my classroom for several years now, and it's always good for me also to attend these conferences because I learn as well. So we'll be collaborating, getting to see each other throughout the day. So this is the PBL presentations using Canva, and I'm Yvonne Chamblin. I do work at PSJA Thomas Jefferson T-STEM, and I teach senior capstone. So again, I want to welcome everybody. If you could help me out, I know several of you, but so we can know each other, if in the chat you could let us know your name, what campus you're from, a grade or grades that you teach, and then courses that you are going to be teaching this upcoming year. I'll let everybody go ahead and put those answers in the chat. The GIF you're looking at, I made a long time ago, but it's still one I like as our school colors. If you haven't made one before, it's very easy to do. What you would do is record yourself in some kind of motion. Make sure it's repetitive. So I did like a slow wave. And then I took that file, dropped it into remove background, remove BG. That is a website. You upload your video file. It'll remove the background and save it as an MP4 file. And then I reuse this GIF so many times during the school year with my students. And so if you want to create one, you can do it in so many other movements, but this is the one that I find is the most versatile, and it lets me, I can keep using it from one presentation to the next. Right, so I do teach high school, so I'm interested to see if anybody here is from middle school or elementary, because that'll be a challenge for me, and also help me think about how I can tailor this presentation. So welcome again, everybody, to the conference, and thank you for typing in your background information. It's really good to see a good group here this morning. So I know we have high school. Is anyone here middle school or elementary? Let's see. So I know we have high school, we have health science, we have high school also English 1. We have also high school US history, world history, awesome. And we have elementary, awesome, pre-K 3, 4. My son is in pre-K 4 this year. He was in pre-K 3 last year. And all the subjects, yes, that's amazing. It's like I have the full range in my house, so I teach 12th grade, right? But when I come home, I'm doing like pre-K first grade homework. So my brain like shifts all day. Oh, awesome. Yes, we have 8th grade, middle school, RLA, and high school Spanish. Okay, amazing. Okay. I don't know if anybody is still typing. I don't see the dots moving, but thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and do the full screen now so we can see this a little bit better. But this session, everybody, is all about PBL implementation. And that is something that I have grown to know really well because of the subjects that I teach. The entire class is basically surrounded by PBL. So just a little background, when I first came to PSJA and I learned how the class needed how to implement it, I was like, well, actually, I don't have the specific skill set yet. Well, I do, but let me make sure I understand it appropriately. So I attended a PBL workshop at Region 1 for a couple of sessions, not too much time, but that really just helped me like get the foundation I needed. And so now when I do presentations, I use that foundation plus all of my experience with students in the classroom to really mold like my presentation to be more specific to teacher-student situations. So that's what you're going to hear today. And I also wanted to bring up that throughout my teaching career, I've always embedded sustainability. Like it always was there. And in 2018, I really made like a focus effort to use it. And then now we're here in 2023, and now we see like more schools, now the district implementing sustainability. So everybody has a story, but that is mine. And today during the presentation, you'll hear a lot about project-based learning, about students, how they implement it. So I'll show you some samples. And then I want to show you other ways where you can create and connect with Canva. While I'm using Canva today, you probably have used Canva also. And so this is not an introductory to Canva. This is just, here's the possibilities you can have with Canva. I do want to let you know if at any point you want to just turn your mic on, I don't mind. I would welcome the conversation if you'd like to say something. We'll just keep it really brief though, but if you want to share something, we're a small group. I don't mind if you want to interject a little bit. But again, a little more about me. I've shared a bit, but just to maybe answer some questions here. I've been teaching 9 years at TSTEM. This will be my 10th year. I started in 2014. I have a background in business marketing. I was in business, that industry for about 7 years, where I led many projects. And so I think that project planning experience really worked well in the classroom. I do have a master's in educational leadership. At TSTEM, I was the campus teacher of the year in 2019, which led to becoming a CLF in 2019. And even though the role is kind of, it's not as it was, I still support our campus as a CLF in like disguise, kind of on the background. What fun fact about me, and some of you know this already, I am a PSJA alum. So I attended PSJA from kinder through 12th grade. And it's just been a pleasure to come back to my home district and to teach students because in a lot of ways I see myself in them. So that's my educational background. But I know we're more than that. And I'm a person just like you. And there's a lot of other things about me that I wanted to bring here. But just as a visual reference, you can see it on the screen. This is my vision board for 2023-24. These are the things outside of school or my career that I want to prioritize in my life. And I have this quote and I share it with my students. It says, mindset is everything. And I really think that sums up where I'm at right now, like in the season of my journey in life and where I'm heading, is that I've realized that where I put my thoughts is what is going to be most important to me. And like the theme of today is like, we create, right? Well, that's on me. Like I need to think about, well, what do I want to create in my life this year? So I encourage you to think about that and maybe come up with some things outside of work that bring you joy and spend time focusing on that, right? Because we have the power to do that through what we think about. And again, mindset is everything. So let me go into the courses now. So the courses specifically that I teach, one is called CTE Project-Based Research. This is a class, it is through the CTE department, and it's all around project-based learning, like the entire class. It's just all around the students' interests. We start the project, and then I facilitate the learning as we go. The other class I teach is similar, but it is a AP College Board sponsored class, and that's called AP Capstone. And the difference between the two is that the CTE one is 1 year and the AP one is 2 years. So some people ask me, well, does that mean they're working on the same project for 2 years? The answer is no. The first year is all based on the prerequisite skills that you need for your senior course, and they do small projects, some as a team, some individually. Then they move on to their senior year, the second year, and they take a year-long course to produce one big project. So I've been teaching the CTE one for 9 years. I've been teaching the AP one now for 5 years. So it's been a very neat way to kind of develop the classroom. And I know we're all developing in different ways, but this was one way I found going from CTE to AP that I found that I was growing professionally. These are some pictures of my students, just so you can start getting a visual reference of what I'm talking about. This is them at their final presentation in April this past year. So I'm going to now kind of start embedding different things into the presentation. And one of the things I wanted to make sure to bring up before we get into the Canva presentations is that it all revolves around the global goals, right? Sustainability. And so I don't know your comfort with the global goals right now, but let me give you some background information so that we're all on the same page. So the United Nations, this organization, the goals that we know today, they were established in 2015. These goals are the visuals that we see here. But what I would encourage you to do if you haven't done yet is that each of these goals has a list of indicators. So like global goal 1, it breaks down, well, what do we mean by no poverty? Where are the most impoverished countries? And how can the United Nations gather resources and put the effort towards helping specific maybe countries, right? And it goes on and on. You go to zero hunger. Okay, well, where is the need? And it's very specific. So if you find yourself, well, I really want to target in, I want to know that what I'm doing is aligned to the global goals, you're going to want to study each one. Now, the way we easily can talk about it as educators is that we can say, well, the global goals are identifying a problem, and us as a community, we can create solutions. Okay, so that's the conversation. Easy way to start getting going. Well, let's look at the problem. Let's create a solution. And so in our school, in TSTEM, when I was teaching, this conversation started around 2018. And it kind of grew a little bit, a few more teachers, and then a few more teachers more. And now we're at the point where we're all of us together, the entire campus is addressing not collectively all the goals, but like each of us is tackling one of the goals as we continue producing these projects with our students. So here are some resources, and what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to drop it in the chat. All the links for today's presentation, I see a fan. All the links for this presentation are going to be on this document. So let me go ahead and pull it up for you. I have it right here. And that way, if I move away from the QR code, you'll be able to find it. Okay. So this document, I just uploaded again. It has all the links for the presentation. It also has the link for this Canva presentation that I'm showing you so that you can go in there later if you'd like and review some information. Okay, so it is uploaded. Can someone give me a thumbs up or say yes, it's there? I just want to confirm. I see the check mark. Yes, okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so some resources that I wanted to share with you that I think would help you along your way. The first one is a Newsella article, and I'll show it to you right now. I'm just going to go over the three. The first one is a Newsella article. If maybe it's your first time this year and you're going to start implementing it, well, use this article. Or maybe you have a student in your classroom this year that maybe prior years never got exposed to the global goals. This is a great article to assign maybe the first, second. I assign it the second week of school to read and I give them a quiz, but this is a good article just to get the conversation started and help them like brainstorm with them, like, what would you like to learn more about this year? And that's a good starting point. This is the picture. The picture on the article is from the day the United Nations signed off on the global goals. The second website, if you didn't see it already, is the United Nations Global Goals website. All the tiles, like you can see the little squares on the screen, all those tiles have background information. You can see the indicators and you can see where this information is coming from. Definitely be an informed teacher, right? Because your students are probably going to ask you questions. And if you don't know the answer, then you know where to point them to. And then the last website, and this is something I shared with my campus that I really like. This is not the SDG tracker. This is not from the United Nations. What you'll see as you do more digging into the global goals is that there are a lot of institutions that are researching alongside the United Nations, and this is one of those groups. So if you go to this website, and I'll show you right now, you're going to see even more research that's developed by other institutions, and then they're just showing you what's available. So let me just walk y'all through these very quickly here. So the first one again was the Newsella article, and you'll scan it. It's a good read. It is on the maximum Lexile level, so like maybe for our elementary or middle school, Teachers, if you want, you can go into Newsela and you can bring down the Lexile level. It'll adjust it and it'll be great for your students to already see the exposure. But it's a short article here, and it'll also talk to you about the history of how the SDGs were created. The second one I showed you, the link is to the United Nations Global Goals, and here you can see what I was talking about. You need to come in here and search through it and have your students do it with you. Don't do it all by yourself, but you'll see a lot of great information and tools that you can use for future projects. And then the third one I showed you, this is the SDG tracker. This is the one that excites me the most because it's constantly updated in real time. Here's why. So you can see the information. They also have the tiles. Let me do good health and well-being for our health science. And what you'll see here are graphs. Now, these graphs are interactive. And what I like about them is it lets my students differentiate their project. So I could have like 2 students in the classroom, maybe researching diabetes, but let's look at it from a different perspective. So there's different things you can do here. You can look at it by time. You can sort it by country or continent. And it's really neat what you can focus in and narrow on. And then you can come into some of these specific countries if you're interested and see the data. Now, the whole website is like this, and it's really neat. It also provides you with the sources. So here's World Health Organization, UNICEF, and yeah. And that's what I like about this one is they're not hiding where they're getting their information. They're giving you everything you need, and they can give it to you in different formats. Okay, so definitely play around with that one. That one I look at pretty frequently just to keep my mind connected to the global goals and the conversations that we find ourselves in. Okay, so hopefully that's a good little tool there that you can explore. So the next thing I was going to tie in here is PBL projects should have some kind of external component. And we typically in the education world will call that community partnerships. So if you already have a partner in the community, that is awesome. Keep it going because that is something as a best practice for me. I never let those contacts go. And if they retire or if they leave, I'm like, okay, who can I talk to next? Because I don't ever want to lose that connection with those individuals. So here are some organizations that I have partnered with throughout the years. City of Far Recycling is a really good one, and they are looking for other teachers, everyone. They asked me, I just talked to them like in May, and they're like, well, do you want to work over the summer? And I was like, actually, I don't think I want to, and although I could have. But I really needed to prioritize my kids, like you saw in my vision board. And I said, no, but like count on me. As soon as I get back, I'm going to call you. But yes, they are looking even for like middle school and elementary, like they're looking for ways to partner with PSJA. But the best way to do it is directly with the teacher. Okay, so if you can do that, I have a cell phone number for the person that I call, and he said, anytime to text him and call him. That's how personal they will communicate with you. The second one is Quinta Mazatlan. They are very good with education programs. There's a picture here, if you can see it. It's where my students and I were at the Monarch Fest. It's that beautiful orange butterfly. And they have a lot of events where they're wanting to either have you volunteer, or if you just want to get started, like maybe attend an event so that you can see what it's about. But they have educator specialists, and those are the individuals you're going to want to talk to. Palm Valley Animal Shelter, that's another one we've been to. Of course, they have 2 locations. They have the one on Trenton, and then they have the one on the expressway. That's the one I most recently went to. If you've never been, maybe you just also want to go visit, see what it's about first, and then go ahead and go in. During the pandemic, just to bring this up, a lot of these activities weren't happening. So I was one of the first ones to contact them and say, hey, are y'all open? And they're like, yes, we are accepting volunteers. So jump in there already and like make those contacts. I don't go to these places every month, but I do go to them maybe once a semester to keep that connection and partnership going for the students and then for our campus. And then the last one is treat others with respect. So I will share that I have been involved with Treat Others Respect since the beginning. It's actually a family organization. My brother is the person that leads it. And so I've been involved from the beginning. So yes, I'm That's the one I'm more knowledgeable about. Um, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? I want my students to take the initiative. So instead of me calling, I have my students call, and they have the conversation about what they want to do, their project, and then I support them. But I work with 12th graders, so they need to already know how to get on the phone and make a phone call. So I'm there with them when they do it, but I don't do it for them. So this is a picture of one of my students. He really wanted to do a food drive. Like, he came in first day of school, Miss, I'm gonna do a food drive. And I said, okay, like, do you have contacts today? And he said, no. Okay. And then I was like, well, I know the person that you need to call. So I had him call my brother, and we got everything organized. But he did a really great job. So these are all examples of partners that I've been working with, but you might have your own, or maybe you want to reach out to these as well. I know all of these would welcome more educators in getting involved with their programs. So, to sum up what I've shared so far, this is my strategy. So, my strategy, everybody, is to bring two things together: the sustainable development goals and the project based learning, like every day, all day. That is what I'm working on with my students. And I know that maybe not all of us can do that all day, every day, but you're likely to want to do it maybe in a 6 weeks, or maybe for a month. Like, you're going to want to have that time dedicated so that your students are learning globally. I am fortunate that in my TEK, it actually says that. It says address issues locally, state, nationally, and globally. That's exactly what my TEK says. And it's the very first one. So I'm fortunate that global goals fit very nicely into the materials that I already have. But I know for some of us, it's going to look a little different. So I'm willing to, those of you here, like, if you need any advice, maybe later, I'm happy to listen to your situation and maybe what your classroom looks like, and maybe we can come up with your own strategy. But this is what I'm going to share with you today. So this is how it would work in my classroom in a capstone class, and maybe you can brainstorm how it would look in yours. But because it's the whole year, I can break it down by month. For you, if it's not, it might be by week, or by in a unit, maybe, like, however that's broken down for you. So here's how mine goes. So in September, my students and I are generating ideas and conducting research on their topic. Basically, we go on the United Nations website and other resources that I give them, and I say, look through everything, give me your top 3 ideas. And then from the top 3, we have like collaborative discussions. The students are doing classroom talk, and we start discussing, and you can see in their discussion which topic resonates with them the most. And if I can see the excitement or the possibility for maybe creativity or innovation to come out of it, then that's the one I recommend to them. And so it takes us a little bit of time. I would say the entire month of September, that's what we spend time doing. Eventually, we get to the point, I'm going to move a little bit here, where we are creating a presentation. And I start early, everybody, because I need to see where they're at. And I need to visually put together, in my mind, because I have, many, many, many students, what it is that this student is going to produce, right? So in December, January, that's when we begin using Canva, and the students share a first draft of the presentation, and I do have them actually come up to the front of the class and they present it. So that takes place very early on. In March, we will update the entire presentation and then get it ready for a final, and the final presentations take place in April. Now, they can start their presentation earlier than what I give them. They can be working on it even if I haven't given like a assignment on it. I encourage them to do that. And it helps, like, what I said, like the differentiation of the student and the project that they're working on. You want to have that flexibility, especially when you're working on a PBL. So specifically on the slides, this is what I require. Um, you'll see the examples in just a moment, and you're going to see this outline. So what I would recommend to you, and I see teachers, my own child's teacher, like, she had a very good outline, and I think all of us are going to find what works best for us. This is what works best for me. This is following basically like a master's thesis. Like, it's working through the literature review. They identify a problem, they research it, they create the method, the results, and then they go through the conclusion. So Some of my students, I do have one right now, she's working on her PhD, and she tells me, Miss Chamblin, I'm doing the exact same thing that we did in high school. I'm like, I knew it. Like you were gonna do that. I told her you always had the potential to conduct your own research, and I knew it. So there she is, in her I don't know her graduation date, but she's right in the middle of the research process. So it's been really neat to see students tell me, Miss, this helped me. And if it doesn't lead that to that kind of research, that's okay. At least your students are now informed on how research studies are conducted. And let's say they're at the doctor's office and they're like, well, how do we know that? Well, let's look at the research study. And those are some interesting conversations they can have in their real, in the real world. So I'm going to go ahead now and share the examples just so we can jump in here real quick on Canva. Again, these are the QR codes if you want to use your phone to look at them. Or you can click the links that I provided in the Word document if you want to see it like full screen. So let's take a look at some examples. Okay, so the first example I'm going to share with you is a AP capstone. Let me make sure it comes up. There we go. It's an AP capstone example. I did try to take off as much personal information about the students as possible, but normally, just so you know, it would have it just for safety. I took some things out, but and the other content is exactly the way she prepared it. So you'll see right away she's got her title, and very interesting topic, indoor air quality, and we related it to good health and well-being. You will see air quality in that global goal in case you're interested for future reference. A little bit about her, I took some information out, but you can see a little bit like what I'm asking the students to share, their background, some hobbies, anything that interests them that they want to share. We go into the introduction, and then you start seeing how Canva creates that beautiful design quality that we all probably enjoy, right? So hers is very clean. She's a very professional student. So this didn't surprise me what kind of template she chose. But I tried to tell them, like, give them pointers, like, keep it really nice and clean. Like, it's all about you. You are the presenter. Everything we see on the slides is just to enhance what you're telling with us. And here's her context. In the AP capstone, they get points for building up the topic you'll see, into the actual study that they're about to produce. When you're working with your students on slides, again, keep the text to image or video kind of at a balance is what I tell them, like kind of like a 50-50. Don't ever get more than that is what I tell them. Point out the key things I need to know. One thing I always look for is the citation. I do require citations on any slide that has research or data. And so we'll see that throughout these examples. So again, just more research. This is her lit review. Here you can see the global issue. She went into, you'll see right now, she went into schools and asked this question. So the question was, to what extent does the different indoor air quality levels affect the health of high school students in PSJA TISA? Which was a really good question because of COVID and how it changed air quality, right? What needs to happen so that we feel safe back in the classroom? So she at the very beginning, we decided like we needed to do something to help her get the equipment she needed, right? So what did we do? So around the time she was preparing this proposal, and I'm just adding this because I know I think this information would benefit you. So I told her, let's apply for a PSJA Education Foundation grant. I think like I had gotten them in the past, and I think like I really want to help you, I want to sponsor you and get you these sensors. So we did the grant in December, and then by January, I don't know how they gave us the approval, but like we got the notice, yes, you're funded. And then right away we ordered the sensors. So that's how she got these sensors. These sensors are expensive. She got 2 and they were $400 each. So I was like, okay, and she needed it. Like it was for her project. And it's something that my students in the future, like we're gonna keep on with this this equipment. So good investment for us and worked out for her. So this is what the sensors do. You can see inside. I love it because it embeds even more technology. Like she learned how sensors work. And these are the different things that it can read. Here's the location she chose. So this is how the study went. She had her main concern was portable air quality. And so our control was actually the library. The library is it's centrally located. Our library is right above the air unit in the main building, and it had the sophistication, like the technology, the what do you call it? Oh my gosh, the purification system of the air is the strongest in that building. So we compared the two. I'm going to show you her results. Now these graphs were created using the sensor has software, but of course you could create the graphs in other ways. But that's how these got developed. Just if you're wondering, so here on the bottom, there's lots of things going on here. She has her baseline, right? So you can see the horizontal lines going around. This is where air quality temperature should be. And then the blue was the portable. The red is the library. Well, which one's moving the most, right? Well, it's the portable, right? Because the portable has this AC unit that's not regulated. You manually turn it on and off. So this is what you're seeing. Really interesting data. Obviously, the portable had its issues. Humidity. Here's the organic compound VOC. And then now it's not terrible. You can see the baseline there. It was under. It got over a little bit, but I think what we figured out that it was during times we were off, like spring break and a long weekend, like Easter. So the data is interesting. I mean, if you can get your students to the level where they're collecting their own data, creating their own graphs, presenting their findings, that would be amazing. And do it in a way like this was a month-long, like a 1 month, 30-day test. Those would be amazing PBLs. And then to be able to put it in a presentation and then have them speak about it, I think that would be amazing. So I'm going to show you more examples, but this one we're really excited about. So it wasn't found to be like the portable air was poor, but minimal. Like students, she put here, yes, they're tired, but there's other factors to consider. And you can see how the rest of the Canva went. It was a very simple presentation, but what made it powerful was her. You talked to her, she's very eloquent, she knew what she was talking about. So just keep that in mind, that it's not always about the presentation, it's also about the students and how well they're prepared. And those are her references. Let me show you another one. So the next one I'm showing you is about culture. It's this student was very enthusiastic about dance. She was the dance president. Everything was about dance. So obviously, like, it was there. But what's neat about her is that she wants to be a teacher. She got her associate's degree in interdisciplinary studies with a concentration in education. And she intends to be a teacher, an elementary teacher. So I said, we got to do this. So you'll see right now how we brought all those interests into her project. She relates it to quality education as well as gender equality because she wanted to make sure that dance was open to both, to all kids, girls and boys. So I took her picture out, but these are some of her accomplishments. This is her introduction to ballet folklorico. Lots of beautiful pictures that from her dance team. She comes into, her literature review. You can see her citations are here. She did a really good job explaining. I know there's not a lot of images going on here, but I think it's because it was her. Like, you just look at her and you're like, wow, like this student has a passion for dance and education. She really cared about what curriculum was being taught throughout, like from high school, from kinder all the way to college level. So she found a lot of interesting articles about how students perceive the education they receive. And she's very proud of the education received. She just wanted others to have that same experience. So more about, I can't describe all these, she would do it, but about the dances and what she learned through this process. But let me show you her question. So it said, how can I help my community of the younger generations, elementary level, learn and continue the spread of our locally common and PSJA cultural dance tradition? We have a wonderful fine arts department. So she had a lot to say. So here are some graphs. Now she doesn't have a lot of graphs, but what she did have, everyone, was observations. That was more along the lines of what her method was qualitative data through the observations. So here she is. She's at Berta Palacios Elementary. She did a few sessions there, and we made sure to schedule them on days they had enrichment so that groups of students would be able to come in. She had a lot of creative ideas of how she wanted to teach them movement. So these are just some of the pictures. She's right here in the maroon shirt. Her dance team also came along to assist because there were lots of children that we were working with. You can see how she spent her time. You can see here that, like I was saying, her associates, when you're in the high school level, especially 11th and 12th grade, these students are going out and doing fieldwork hours. So she was doing her fieldwork hours while in my class. And so that was also feeding into what she was bringing into her research and in the design of the project itself. I'm going to show you all, and I'm going to show you what I think she could have done. So let me come back to it. And she and I had this discussion about it because I said, you have so much information. The problem was she had too much information for the time we had. And so I'm going to show you this really quick, but this is some more content and ways she could have kept improving the slides. So here she is. What I like about this picture is it already tells you what we're going to talk about. Like, you just see it. We're going to talk about the global goals about the Palacios Elementary and how Valerie wanted to teach them about dance. So here's some video clips. Here, she's using the circles in the gym to get them moving and also to create the classroom management so that they were paying attention to her. This next one is the movement. So there's a lot of I do, we do, you do, which is what she was learning in her education classes. And then we just reinforced it. Now here's the final, like in the day, here's what it looked like. It's the cutest thing. Here we go. Okay. So she could have added that to the presentation, and she realized it afterwards. She's like, oh yeah, I should have done that. But she regardless, she was phenomenal. Like, she is an amazing individual, and I know she's going to be an excellent teacher. So, it's all about like giving your students feedback, letting them think about it. I didn't tell her right away what could you have done, but this is what you could have done, but like let her think about it. But yes, so partnerships, and this one was the elementary school because that was her target audience. I'm going to show y'all one more very quickly, and that was the finance one. I come from a business background, so these kind of projects, I'm like, I want to know more. Like, how can I be more financially responsible? But she did a really good job. She got her associates also in economics, like that finance business associates. So she got to go to some really neat sessions on financial literacy and then use that for her project. But you can again see, the template is very tailored to her topic. She's got a very clean professional look. Her sources are cited. Here's her literary review. Very detailed, very eloquent young lady. Her research question was, how rich is the Rio Grande Valley financial literacy? How does that reflect the valley's economic standing? And how can we strengthen our financial literacy? She realized during the pandemic, and I don't know if y'all remember this, but I don't know who qualified, but stimulus checks, right? Stimulus checks started coming out. And she realized that was a problem, right? And that's where this stemmed from. Too many people were relying on those checks, and then there was no more money, right? And then now the downfall, right? Debt, credit cards especially, were starting to be more in use. So she identified that problem and tried to see what could we do about it. So she started off like thinking, well, we can get the whole valley to answer. That is a hard task. If you ever done research, that's hard. And we don't have money to pay people to take a survey. So it was just this like constant, like, how do we get people to answer this survey? Eventually it turned out to be more like her age group, but in the end, and she had a hard time with responses. But she still had things that she learned through this process. And I think it's good for students, and then to see them present it, look at how many graphs she had. These are all from Google Forms. But to put it into a Canva presentation, like she did such a good job of like packaging it and making it look like what her vision was. So we come back into it. This is a session she went to, just pictures, and then it's over. But again, just another idea of how to use Canva to enhance the students' research, and especially through the PBL sustainability projects that you might be engaging in this year. So let me go back to my presentation. I'm going to show you just a few more things. So a couple of things I wanted to make sure to address now that you've seen the student samples. When you're working with the students in the classroom and you've got Canva open and everyone's using Canva together, definitely look at the templates and layouts with them. There are so many ways to customize the templates now. Canva has so many extra little effects and tools. I'll show you a few right now, but it's neat. And if your students really get into it, which they are, they're very technology savvy now. They're gonna find things that you didn't even know either. So, and actually, I know mid-year, like Canva made some changes, and I was like, I didn't even know that, and they were showing it to me while we were in the classroom. So, just let them also explore, because you'll find things that Canva can the possibilities for Canva are endless. Images, text, and video. I showed you some examples. I do, and I'm going to show you right now. I do want to let you know, like, all the global goals plus more are available on the United Nations website, which would be excellent. Like, go ahead and download them all. Maybe upload them to a Google Classroom or somewhere where students can see already where you're heading. And then, of course, when you're in the classroom, help them enhance their speech presentation. And I think, we've all been to a presentation where the person or the student read from the slides. We all know that's not the most effective way. So start early, like get them really thinking about how Canva is going to support them, not be the script. And that's going to go a really long way. So let me just point out some things in Canva. Okay, so when I talk about design, and I'm sorry, templates and layouts, we're talking about this right here, right? So we see templates, we see layouts, and we have styles. Don't rush this process. Like, I think I spend a whole class period just talking about templates. And like, I'll go over examples, I'll go through each one, like why I would pick this one, why I would not pick this one, why I think these layouts work well, why I don't think they work well, why I think this color scheme is going to enhance the presentation. We look at the global goal color. What are some images you're going to want to later put in? Like, I do not rush this process. Like, I take the time. It may even take a student a whole week to figure it out, because I want them to feel very confident that they got a good starting point. And if that happens, then I know they're going to be good. I don't like to see students put so much time and then they just say, oh, no, I don't like it anymore, which happens sometimes. And I'm like, okay, let's start again. Okay, what happened? And it's going to happen. But if you really take the time, explore these design elements early with them and take the time. Now, I know I have the luxury of doing that because that's how my class is designed. Maybe you don't, but encourage them then. Encourage them to really look and see, like, there's so many templates, and I'm just showing you a few here, but there's so many things to choose from. The colors matter, everything. There is this new tool. I know somebody else has a presentation on this, but Magic Design. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but let me show you. My daughter was studying whale sharks in the Gulf of Mexico, and I just typed that. And we didn't do this. I didn't let her do this, but I was like, well, it's there. Let me just take a look. So what it does is it's taking your topic and it's going to create me a template and it's going to start giving me information about my topic. So I typed it really fast, but I typed in whale sharks in the Gulf of Mexico and look at what it gives me. It's still producing. It's not fast. It takes a little bit of time. Let's look at this one. So it gives me a title page. Like, that was like 5 seconds ago. And then it's giving me information, okay? And it outlines everything. There's a beautiful whale shark right there. More information. Probably need to add some things here. Conservation efforts, yeah. They're an endangered species, which was her project, and I've learned so much about whale sharks. The only thing I noticed about this, and I need to do more research, is it does not give you citations. Like there's no citations, nothing, which would not work in my class, right? But maybe in a different class or smaller project that might work for you where you're just trying to get the conversation going really quickly. That might work for you, maybe like an icebreaker or something like that. But yeah, in my classroom, it wouldn't. This would only maybe provide some inspiration, but not to like, okay, we're gonna just use this. Like it's already done. No, because like they're supposed to be creating the research themselves. So that's a little bit about Magic Design and then all these other tools right here. The other thing is the images, text, and video. So I know, let me see. I have a giant, and I was doing pictures this morning. I have a giant library of things. Like I upload stuff all the time. Now, if you haven't like played around with it, there's a lot of extra tools in here that you can do. But I really like embedding my own pictures. Now, Elements is great. This is where you can find, of course, I know you'll probably already know this, find a lot of things. Stock photos, creative graphics, the GIF files are neat too. I wouldn't overdo it on the GIF. I do it sometimes, but not all the time. But there's so many things in here that students can find to use. And then the global goals, let me just show you here. This is one of the links I provided. You'll be able to come in here and you can download all the files, like all of them are here. They have the inverted files as well. So like the ones we're used to are these colorful tiles, but sometimes we don't have access to color printers, right? So what I do is I get color paper, which I have a little stack of, and then I print the logos on color paper. So like if this red one, I'll print it on red paper. So it's a black ink, right, on red paper. If you want to do it like that, that's another way to do it. But they do have the inverted style. So just come in here and download those files. And then they have some other questions here. You might have some questions about what they do here, but definitely like show your students this. They'll figure it out, or you can do it for them. That wheel we all know is here. Lots of different options for you, for your needs, for your classroom. Okay, so I'm going to start wrapping it up. I know I want to give you all some time to maybe ask some questions. Let's see. My mouse is acting up. One thing I do, and this is the last slide, one thing I do want to let you know is that, yeah, I spent most of my time talking about Canva, but if you have questions about PBL instruction, like I'm happy to assist you and coach you. And maybe we can even partner some students, some of my students with your students on a project this year. But these are things that I like, if I go to a instructional presentation, like these are things I've shared in the past. So I wanted to leave you with this. So that way kind of just plants the seed. Like if you want to know more about this, you can come back and let me know. But these are my top 10 tips for PBL instruction from my trainings and then personal experience. This is what I always come back to when I talk to teachers. So, having criteria for your PBL sustainability projects is going to be really important. We can't do it all. We can only be a part of the solution. So don't feel overwhelmed by thinking, oh, I can do all this stuff. No, like be really specific. The more we're specific, the more, to me, learning takes place. You definitely want to get organized. So if you need help coming up with the project plan or a timeline, those are things that I have coached teachers on. That's really like my specialty right now, because I come with just the industry experience and the teaching experience combined. It's just, that's my thing. Number 3, the community partnerships. If you need help, you don't know the phone call, who do I call? I'm happy to help you with that. I will say that PBL and sustainability, a lot of it has to do with number 4, building student skills. Like your students come with skills. Okay, well, let's keep growing them. Help them with their strengths. I like to point out what they're good at, now what they have to improve on at the beginning, because they need confidence. If this project is going to work, they have to have confidence in themselves. So build on something they already know how to do. Definitely revise and edit with your students. Help them learn along the way. Give the feedback often. Sometimes it's verbally. Like if the hard conversations, I do it verbally. Like if they haven't been coming to class, if they're not turning in their assignments, I have to address it with them face to face before I make the phone call to the parent. But like that has to happen, right? That's something we've learned already in the classroom. We have to talk to our students. Let the creativity flow. Like if your student needs a little extra time to just get something down on paper, like do it. Like don't stop them and say, oh, we're moving on to the next thing. I would rather them take an extra 15 minutes and let them feel comfortable with what they're doing than force them to the next thing. Be flexible. Sometimes the timelines change or the project has to go in a completely different direction. That has happened to me so many times, and I just go with the flow. Stay positive. That one I put there because I've had students, and I know we all have had these situations. Something happens to them. It might be a discipline issue, it could be a family issue, it could be things just happen. And I know the teachers at my campus know what I'm talking about. Just things happen to kids that you never imagined it could happen to somebody, and it happens. And through it all, what I've noticed is that these projects is what helps them come back. Like if something happened to their family and they had to be out for a week and they come back, it's like, hey, look at the good work you did. Look at all that you've accomplished. Like those are the moments that as a teacher, you can help make a difference. So, and I know that's a personal thing, but that's something I've noticed with these projects, that's what happens. And then of course, praise and recognize. This little picture here is from 2017. It's one of my favorite teacher pictures. So back in 2017, I was teaching capstone, and PSJA wanted to have this fair. And I was like, well, how am I going to convince seniors in May to come to an event on a Saturday by their own free will? Like, why would they do that? So I pitched the idea, and all these kids showed up dressed up in professional attire. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so happy. It was a very happy teacher moment. And they were so proud. They even wanted to take pictures. I was like, yeah, this is a great group of students, and I'm in touch with several of them. But yeah, that's the type of things that PBL and sustainability can do for kids. It can give them this confidence to do things without really expecting too much in return. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So if anyone would like to ask a question or share something, again, call me if you have a question or need help with PBL. I do have an X account. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know about the Twitter X change, but I still have it, and you're welcome to follow me. That's where I post updates from my classroom throughout the year. You can scroll through and see some past things. And then again, just to bring up the motto I have, mindset is everything. I think that really always, when I come back at the end of the day or the end of the year, I'm always like, what was that again? Like, it's always about what I put my thoughts on. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And if I'm not thinking about it, well, it's probably not going to happen. So I, would encourage you to just think about your mindset. What do you have in mind for this year? And then go with the flow. Let's see what happens. Set some new goals for yourself, and go with the flow. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm going to put the chat up. If you'll have anything or a comment, suggestion, idea, go Bears, yeah. Anything you want to share. There's a lot of great resources too out there that I think all of us would benefit from. Some of the ones I shared, and I'm happy to keep exploring with y'all if you have any questions.